Put him in the bin.
Yeah. Well, speaking of putting it in the bin, should we talk about Spurs and Liverpool and the inevitable VAR discussion?
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting game. This, right? I did watch the entirety of it. Obviously, like we'll save the VAR discussion to right at the end, right? I thought it was a good game. I thought Spurs when Liverpool went down to 9 men should have just like taken this game and run away with it. But like they look scared. They look scared of Liverpool. I think they'd seen what had happened at Newcastle, right? When Liverpool went down to 10 and won it with those 2 late Nunez goals. Yeah. They looked scared that they were going to get caught on the counter punch like that because Liverpool still had players on the pitch that could make a difference, right? But finally got the breakthrough, got the goal. In terms of I don't think I saw loads of people saying like, "Oh, there's no way that's a red card. You got to take intent into it and stuff."
Yeah,
and like, whilst I agree, like, there's still like innumerable examples of that exact tackle ending in a red card. Like, because like it or not, intent or not, he's gone over the ball. He could have broken his leg. Like,
yeah,
I agree. Intent has to be taken into account, but also you've just got to call dangerous play at certain times. So for me, and that's not just me as a United fan watching a Liverpool game,
of course.
That's any game, and I'm saying, yeah, that's a red card. Like, at least you can't argue it if it's given. If it's not given, then yeah, maybe there's a bit of discussion around it. But for me, that was a red. I think Diogo Jota, yeah, the first yellow was soft, but then he's just an idiot. Like, yeah, why would you even put yourself in that position having just, because it was only like a few minutes earlier, wasn't it? Like,
yeah,
literally just been given a yellow card.
In
why
such
would
a
you dive in
area
from
of
behind?
the pitch as well.
Yeah,
like it was such a like right on a touch, like it was just needless. Like, yeah, more like I say, just that ruined any chance of Liverpool getting anything out of that game ultimately. Because I think, with like I say, with 10 men, Liverpool still could have. They were about to bring Nunez on before that happened. Like, and he
just oof it over the top, off he goes.
Exactly. The way Spurs were pushing for it, he would have been perfect in that situation for Liverpool. Just on the Jones red, I did tweet like, "Oh, that's harsh." Like at the time,
because it's harsh, but it's a red.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, because I was on the overgrounds back from Stratford, like watching the first half of my phone, and I said my initial reaction seeing it was like, "Yeah, that's really harsh." I don't know how I feel about that, but it's one of them. The more I've watched it, yeah, because I look at it like this: if I'm a Spurs fan in that situation, I'm screaming for a red.
Yeah.
And I think if Liverpool fans are honest with themselves, if the roles were reversed and Bazuma did that exact same situation, they'd be calling for a red card. I think it's that thing of like, we're so used to over the years of like intent is the main factor with those sort of tackles of reds over the years, like pre-VAR. Whereas now, like you say, it doesn't always have to be the be all and end all, whether it was intent or not. Like it was, same feel harsh saying it was reckless. I think Jones just unlucky.
Yeah.
Like I feel like saying it was reckless or whatever, out of control again is a bit harsh. So I think he's just really unlucky. But like you say, he could have broken the dude's leg. So I think when it comes down to that, I think that it was ultimately the correct decision. So
you see it with like,
I do have sympathy for him.
Yeah, you see it like with overhead kicks, like someone will get belted in the side of the head, and like people like accidentally catch someone with their arm, and it happens. Like, some people are unlucky, it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, like, he's still gone over the ball, he's still gone right onto the side of the guy's shin, like, and whilst like he looked horrified that he'd done it, like it doesn't stop it from having happened, right? Like, there'd be just as many arguments the other way if that wasn't given as a red. Like, I think like it's one of those things where you've just got to keep. Everyone always wants consistency. Like, everyone always bleats on about consistency, and that being the issue with whether it be in referees or VAR. And that just needs to be a red card, like in those situations.
Yeah.
For me, anyway. Like, and I'd be saying the same if it was a United player who went over the top. Like, like, you can't do that. It's unfortunate, but you can't do that in a game.
There was the only thing that bugged me about it, and I guess this is going to lead on to the VAR chat, is that I don't like the fact that when the referee goes over there, the first thing he sees is the still image.
Yeah.
That I really don't like that, because they probably would have come to that agreement anyway. But I think going over after already being told you need to go look at this, there's already that seed of doubt in his mind of like, oh, maybe I need to change my mind here. To then go over there and the first thing you see is just a still image of the point of contact.
Yeah.
which effectively, like I know they do play the full clip, but on first viewing removes any context of what actually happened. For me, that's because that just feels like to me like VAR just going like, yeah, go on, send him off. Like, do you know what I mean? That for me, I'm really not a fan of.
And again, that's just another implementation thing of
Yeah.
how VAR's done. Like I've said all along, like a referee should get just one viewing of each of the other angles. So say like there's three angles, you can get it from the TV view, you can get it from the sideline and from behind, maybe like however many it is, and you can watch all those twice, like only at real speed. Like you can't slow it down frame by frame. You can't do any of that kind of stuff, because if it's just a case of, oh, I saw it from the wrong angle, or like I just didn't see it, I missed it. If I see it from another angle, I'll have a better idea. And even then, like there needs to be less pressure on the ref to actually change their mind. Like I say, I think it was the right decision in the end, but again, like going about it the way that it was wrong, and it kind of like it plants that seed of look how bad this was before he's even watched the replay. So yeah, like
I'll say thankfully for that. Well, no, not thankfully, but like, it was like if you thought that was bad,
Well, luckily there was no other VAR controversy in this game. So.
Not like 5-10 minutes later. So like I said, I was watching the game on my phone on the overground back home, and the goal goes in, and it's like, oh, the flag's up, and the replay happens, and I think probably like everyone else, you sort of see the replay and you go, oh, that's tight. It looks like he's on though, but it's tight. And then just, oh no, VAR have said no, it's correct decision, no goal. And it was like, oh, okay, that's weird. They didn't draw the lines, but maybe that's just because they're trying to speed it up a little bit, and they've already drawn the lines, and they just maybe Sky forgot to show it or whatever. But like I say, you see it more and more, especially during half time. You're like, no, see, he looks on the side. What the fuck's happened? And then obviously the statement comes out and all the stuff comes out, and one question out of all the contentious VAR decisions or cock-ups that have happened, not just this season, over years, is this the worst one ever?
It's hard to say it's the worst one ever. It's definitely the most, just because of recency bias, right? Like I'm sure there's other completely egregious ones, but this is bad. Like not only did they get it wrong, it's the way that it was done wrong. Like, I heard a great, I can't remember who it was now. It was either on a podcast or on the radio. It's like someone saying, what is the point of the assistant video ref, right? If the VAR is going to make that decision and he doesn't go, whoa, hold up, like you misheard that, or you've got this wrong. Like, what's the point of the assistant VAR at that point? Like, it's one thing to get the on-field decision wrong. It's another thing to like go, all right, well, we're not going to overturn it. And then there's the fail-safe that hasn't safely failed. You know, it's just completely failed. It's such an incredible amount of cock-ups that have led to it, and like it should have been a goal, but like then there's this whole kind of thing of like Liverpool now asking for a recording of what was said. It's like, and I got into a bit of I don't want to say a heated discussion on my Discord about this before, but like it was a Liverpool fan going, I'm glad they're asking for it, and my only point is like, to what end? Like I understand why they're asking for it. It's like, but what are you hoping? What are Liverpool hoping to get from this? Like I don't see what it benefits anybody. Like, they're already being hung out to dry. They're already being made to answer all these questions and stuff. And the only thing I can get is like, oh, you just hold them accountable. It's like, they're being held accountable. Have you not seen all of this? Like,
it's that thing we spoke about with the VAR review show or whatever it is that Michael Owen hosts. It's exactly what I said back then of like, I've never understood it when people go, oh, this is so good. You get to hear why? Because if it's the wrong decision, again, what does that do? I think the thing with Liverpool asking for the recordings, I don't know whether it's they're gearing up to. I mean, if they are doing this, and I should stress, there's been no, because I've seen a lot of people banging. I've seen the sort of narrative that's being pushed today is like, oh, they're going to ask to replay the game. Like Liverpool Football Club aren't going to do that. That's just been a thing that Liverpool football Twitter has sort of started asking for, and journalists have run that as like, oh, read between the lines. It's like, no, they've not. The more likely scenario is they're probably going to try and take, or they're at least exploring maybe taking legal action. But that is just me guessing. I'm not saying that as like a fact. And if they do that, they're idiots because it's done. And to be just very quick, I thought Jurgen Klopp actually handled the interview afterwards really, really well, because I was expecting him to go ballistic.
Yeah.
Like, he was almost apathetic about it. Where he was just like, I mean, yeah, it's a wrong decision, but what does me crying about it do? And it's like, yeah, ultimately, like, but I think you said earlier, it feels very much like the straw that brought the camel's back on this one, because there's just there's so much wrong with it for me. Like, and obviously the protocol, and I guess you're not going to find out the protocol doesn't work until you're in this situation, right? But the whole thing of like, oh, well, they've taken the free kick and now we can't go back and stop it. And it's like, but it's like you said, where was the assistant VAR sort of going like, wait, hang on, why are Spurs taking a free kick when we've said check complete, meaning goal? What's going on? Get bloody Simon back on the phone.
Yeah.
Because something's gone wrong. So like that bit I can't understand. I find it weird that they also say, oh, we thought the goal was given, so that's why we said check complete. Yeah, I'm assuming they get the same. I don't know how it works, but on the coverage, when you're showing the VAR replay, it says check in disallowed goal.
Yeah.
So where does that? But I don't know where that check in disallowed goal bit comes from. Does that come from Stockley Park? Is that just Sky? Like,
I have no idea, to be honest.
No idea. But and the fact it was shown that, like, it was shown, I don't know. So that whole thing is weird. I'm not suggesting a conspiracy. I'll get on to that in a second. But like, there's that. There's the fact that Darren England's, and I think one of the other VAR referees was in the UAE 40 hours before. Again, not suggesting conspiracy, more suggesting how the fuck has that been allowed? Yeah. Like 3 days before a Premier League game, one of the biggest ones of the weekend. And now, obviously, you've got decent grounds to look at that and say, well, is it because you only got back a couple of nights ago that you're like knackered from traveling and you've just not been paying attention to the screen properly to know what's going on? Just, I don't know. It just feels to me like, because the red card one we spoke about with Curtis Jones, penalty decisions, handballs, they're all pretty much subjective. Like, I think everyone can agree on.
Yeah.
It feels like this season, more than any other season where we've had VAR, everyone is kind of on the same page of what is offside and what's not offside. I don't see as many stills of the lines being drawn and people going, oh, this is ridiculous. Most people seem to accept it. This current state of offside is offside. We're all happy with it. Cool. It's not a subjective call.
Yeah.
So to get that so unbelievably wrong in the manner that they did, it's like loads of people have been saying today. I think it just completely undermines what VAR has been brought in to try and do, and any confidence anyone can have. Yeah, any confidence anyone can have in the PGMOL or the on-field officials or the Stockley Park officials. I don't see how moving forward anyone can have any trust in their ability to do this properly. It's fucking staggering to me how bad of a cock up that is, and it's. I'm not saying these people should lose their jobs. Or anything like that. I'm not going to advocate for that. But it does just seem so. We'll apologize. I felt that there was a really weak non-apology or statement they read out or they put out. And I just don't. Well, again, it's that thing of like, well, what? Okay, great, but maybe this is more Liverpool's point of like, in terms of like, escalating and raising it sort of thing. Fans losing. It's like, okay, great, you've kind of apologized or whatever. What are you going to do about it now to make sure this doesn't happen again? Because this is. It's fucked. Like no one's happy with this. Like it's just sucks.
Yeah, and it's as well something that we're not going to know the true ramifications of until the end of the season. Because imagine Liverpool miss out on the title by 2 points, something like that, or even just a point. It's like, well, that goal should have counted. Whatever. Who
knows what would have happened?
Who knows what would have happened? Yeah. But there's a lot of what ifs and what aboutery, but. We've gone through so long of getting used to the refs not or the linesman not putting the flag up for offside and then it being checked afterwards, and now it just seems like this one time they do put the flag up, the referee listens to it, all the wires get crossed, and everyone's confused. I mean, before VAR that would have been flagged off offside, and then it had just been a discussion point on Monday or the Sunday. But because this is the whole point of it being here, is to stop that being a discussion point, to get the fundamentals of the game. Because, like you say, it's not an opinion. You're either on or you're off. I was I don't want to say fuming, but I was gutted when that Garnacho goal didn't count for Arsenal. But you know what? he was off. Like,
He was off.
might have been by an inch, but he was off. Like,
Yeah.
this just wasn't. So I completely understand Liverpool's frustrations and Liverpool fans' frustrations. I just don't understand or really know where this whole kind of this investigation from Liverpool's going. But if it is just a case of like, you know, saying, what are you going to be doing about it? Like, fair enough. But I think it's going to be more than Liverpool that are going to be asking that. I think it's going to be everybody. The Premier League as well. And, you know, and it has to be everyone asking, like, what are you going to do about this? Because it can't continue.
It feels like this. It feels like the way it's been going has almost been building to an instant like this. Do you know, like, because we've said it before, right? It feels like every week there's a massive, like, there was one in the Forest Brentford game where Brentford should have had a penalty. There's like, when you look at the replay and it's like, that is, and again, that is a subjective one, but it's still like, that is pretty much the stonewalls of penalties you can ask for, and it just gets missed.
Well,
like,
here's another one. Not just be, again, like, to go back to the United Palace game. Like, Anderson handballs it, so the ball goes away from Rashford and the ball over the top. And like, I heard the argument of like, oh well, he's looking at Rashford, he's not looking at the ball. It's like, all right, well, he's still handballed it. Like, if you're not looking at the ball, is it not handball now? Like he's stopped the play. Like, because he's not paying attention to where the ball is. Surely that's as much of a penalty as any other handball. But I'm used to not getting handball penalties this year anyway. But like, but it's again, I feel like that's been like that's a minor thing. But again, I think it's a thing that needs to be discussed. Like, I have no idea what handball is. I have no idea what constitutes a penalty anymore. Now I've got no idea what offside is. Like, actually, like, what's the point in any of it? Like, let's just, you know, should we just call our own fouls and, like, you know, we'll have jumpers for goalposts as well.
I think I was listening to TalkSport earlier because it was actually, weirdly enough, it was actually fairly, well, it would have been an interesting conversation if Jim White wasn't interrupting every 2 seconds, but it was him, Simon Jordan and Danny Murphy. And Danny, because it's so difficult to listen to because Simon Jordan just keeps saying football fraternity every 30 seconds, like we're supposed to, like, that's a point. But like, Danny Murphy's basically trying to make the point of like, look, I've obviously, part of being a pundit, I've tried to, you know, I've looked through the rules and the different iterations of what a handball is and all the different mitigating circumstances and all this sort of thing. And he's like, I have sympathy for referees in that regard because, as we said before, like, it can get confusing of like, you know, you talk about body position, proximity, all this sort of stuff. And I've seen a few people stress it today in terms of like, you know, what's the solution moving forwards? And it's like, maybe it should just be a case now where VAR is just there. So you have, obviously it's not VAR, but you have goal line tech for whether a ball goes over the line or not. And VAR is used for offsides. And everything else can be at the discretion of the referee on the pitch, because I don't know what, other than that, I don't really know where else you can go. You can really go from here, like, ultimately.
I've said it in the past. Like, it should be an option for the referee to call upon rather than something that's instructed. Yeah. Like, for a potential penalty, he could go, I want to see that from another angle. Yeah. Or I'd like to see that again. Like, I don't know if I saw it properly in real time. Yeah. Like, they should be asking for it rather than them getting something in their area going, go over and look at this. Because then what that does then is that takes the pressure off the referee of like being told you've got this wrong. That's the referee going, I just want to make sure I got the right thing there. Like, and then he can go over, watch a couple of replays from different angles and go, no, I'm happy with my decision, or no, that was actually a foul. Like, you know, that kind of thing. But that'd be the way to do it.
There's been so many times, but like, you can probably, like, I'm sure I've heard referees talk about this before, where it's like, especially if it's like a sliding tackle in the box, right? And it's like proper, like, depending on the angle, it's not obvious whether the defender's got the ball or not. And there's probably been times pre-VAR where referee's blown for a penalty and then probably quite quickly gone, fuck, I'm not sure about that, actually. And it's like you say, so it would actually be good if, like, those sort of instances, for example, where it's like, I don't know, was there one in the United Arsenal game? There was like a fairly was it? I'm trying to think. Was it Arsenal got denied a penalty or something? Or I can't remember.
United got denied a penalty as well. Like, there was a couple in that game where
but it's like, let's say where referee blows one, like you say, it'd be great if he was like, actually, just to make sure, I'm gonna go look at this just in case, like, a defender might got touched on the ball, so I'm just gonna come look at this. Others, he can go, no, straight up, I'm just gonna award that one. And then if he doesn't decide to use VAR and it is being wrong, that's on him. And I actually think probably they might actually prefer that.
Yeah.
Because this, like, since that game on Sunday, my Twitter and Sky Sports, everything, it's just been on this. And it must, I don't think I know we probably moaned about referees a lot pre-VAR. I don't ever remember it being this, like, high profile or this, like,
it's because so many of these decisions are supposed to be being wrapped up by the VAR. That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be
Yeah.
getting rid of the issue, and it's just drawing more of a light on it, just shining more of a light on the issue rather than anything. And I'll go back to something that I said previous, like in a previous pod, that like the only way that this gets solved is by more investment in it as well. Like not necessarily in VAR, but investing in referees. Like pay them properly, pay them for the importance that they are. They are the people in charge of the games in the most kind of most moneyed league, the most watched league in the world. Pay them like it, like train them, upskill them, like get people into these positions that are good at the job. I said it before, like maybe it'll be a case of we won't really see VAR used to its full kind of competency or kind of see the best version of VAR until it's referees that have come into it learning VAR, rather than referees that have spent 10 years, 15 years refereeing without it, then being expected to pick it up and do it that way. Maybe we need a new generation of referees to come through that are properly trained, do it in like Stockley Park or St George's Park or wherever, train a load of people who want to be referees to do it to the highest degree and employ them like that. Don't do it. You said like don't do it grassroots and up.
No,
like have an elite academy of referees for the ones that want to do it.
It's interesting you mentioned a sort of a thread. I won't read the entire thread. I'll just read the first tweet. It's from a guy called Daniel Story. I think he's a chief football writer at the iPaper. And the first tweet he says is, I know people aren't ready to hear this, but there's a lot of fine, better refs about. Fine, but where? There's a chronic shortage in grassroots and a worry that standards and worry about standards in the EFL. Abuse crisis lower down means it's simply not an attractive career choice. And this is what I said. Like I think when we had this discussion last time, it's what maybe this does happen. I'm just unaware of it. But why can't we implement, like I said, an academy of refs and have them start at under 15s, 16s, 17s, 18s, onwards and upwards? Because then it's all working in harmony then, because then you can have the coaches of the academy players teaching their players, this is how you approach a referee during the game, or only the captain's allowed to talk to him. And if you start giving abuse to the referee on the pitch, you're hooked and you're fined or whatever, or you're dropped for the next game or something like that. And you sort of build that up as the players go through the academy process, or and it can be the same for every academy in the country if they end up moving on or whatever. And that way, eventually, in maybe like 10, 15 years, you have referees who are refereeing in a less pressure-filled environment, which is mental when you think about it, that grassroots could be a more pressure-filled environment than a Premier League or professional football club's academy. But it would be, because you wouldn't have knobhead parents on the side of the pitch, joining in with the abuse.
Yeah.
And almost still encouraging
up in the car park after.
Exactly, which has happened.
Yeah.
Like, at grassroots level. Like,
yeah.
Like, Dan's not joking. That wasn't a joke. Like,
that wasn't a gag. Like that shit happens. Like,
if you're listening outside of England, that's a thing. Like, it's that for me seems to be. And I've mentioned this on streams on Twitter and stuff a few times down the years, and no one's come to me with an argument to say why that wouldn't work. Like, it can't just be, oh, we'll just get them doing Sunday League for a couple of years, and then if they stick it out, then maybe we'll get them in the Football League. It can't be like that, because then again, like that Daniel said in this tweet there, and like you said, how else does the standard get better? Yeah. It just doesn't.
Yeah, it's got to be fully invested. It's like, hoping that you can find a 25-year-old, European quality striker in Sunday League and just get it. Oh well, we'll get him a year in League Two, get him a year in the Championship. He's in the Premier League now. It's like,
yeah,
cool. How many times has that happened? Maybe like 3 times in my lifetime that I can think of, where like the players has made that journey. It needs to be more like, it needs to be invested in. It needs to be something that's taken seriously, because it's not, and it's affecting the game. It's affecting the quality of the game, and it's going to eventually affect the attractiveness of the game, and like people wanting to watch it, people wanting to pay big subscriptions for it, for like people in foreign countries wanting to watch it as well. Like, it will all come to a head. That will happen at some point if it doesn't get sorted. Yeah, it's just a disaster at the minute, and I think it is, as you said earlier, the lowest point in terms of trust for refereeing and VAR that I think the football public has had in it, and I don't doubt that managers and players feel the exact same way.
I'm seeing people who would never usually be like this, almost sort of start crossing over into like maybe it is a big conspiracy, and it's like I've never believed into that, because I've always said you speak to pretty much there'll always be a selection of people in every fan base, especially in the Premier League where VAR is implemented, where they'll think that, oh, the league's corrupt and like it's just everyone's against us. It's like, well, if that was the case, then it can't be true because
because every club is the same. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like you're seeing people now sort of a bit like almost questioning their own logic of just like, well, but then what other answer is there? It's like I said this on Twitter the other day. We've got to stop confusing corruption for incompetence.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's just incompetence.
Yeah.
So like, no one's out to get you. Like, you're no more of a victim of bad VAR decisions as anyone else is. Like, you know, it's just like I say, it's just that at the moment the standards aren't up to scratch, and the implementation of the tech and of the of VAR is just not being used properly. And I'd hate to be Howard Webb right now because he's got a massive job on his hands. But if all they come of this is just he's going to do another show with Michael Owen and they're just going to play the audio for everyone to hear, that is nowhere near good enough. But
no, there needs to be like tangible change in the process, like after this, and that's just the way it'll be. Like I've always been a pro VAR in terms of getting the decisions right is the right thing to do. Like, and I've had these arguments with people who are anti-VAR and who hate it and all that kind of stuff. Like, but at this point, it's like maybe it is better to just get rid for the rest of the year. Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we can, though. Like, I feel like the horse is bolted. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it definitely. But it's like, well, there's also the thing of like, well, it can't get any worse, surely. Like, like. Surely, right? It's not going to get any worse, is it?
But you know what happened though? We get rid of it, and then that's that first weekend without it. There'll be a contentious like offside, and like, don't bring it back.
Yeah. Why did we get rid of VAR anyway?